Hey, friend, Church D coming at you once again. Thank you for tuning into What Does It Take to Win? So, first off, like I mentioned in my previous episode, I just want to let you guys know that I put out some new music back in May. It came out May 2nd of 2019, and it's entitled The Cactus Bare Minimum 2.0. It's like a nice little jazz album. You can purchase it on all platforms, or you could stream it on Spotify, Apple Music, etc., wherever you stream your music. So go check that out. Show your boys some support. And yeah, but let's dive right in. So on this episode, we're actually going to be talking about how to deal with pain. Uh, this is probably going to be one of my most exciting Well, I wouldn't say exciting topics, but it's a very important topic, especially if you want to reach success. You're definitely going to experience pain on the way up. It's just the way it is. There's no way around it. If you want to be successful, that's what's going to happen to you. I'm sorry, but we've all been there. We've all done that. So let's dive right in. Let's talk about pain. So in this podcast, I'm going to focus primarily, well, actually only on emotional pain. So let me just give you a quick definition of the word pain. So this is from a physical standpoint. So pain, and you can Google this if you like to. That's what I did, like we all do in 2019, 2020. So pain is actually defined as physical suffering or discomfort caused by an illness or injury. So that's the physical aspect of pain. What I want to deal with is emotional pain. So the definition I found for that is psychological pain, mental pain, or emotional pain is an unpleasant feeling of a psychological, non-physical origin. So pretty much it's all in our minds. Whenever we feel emotional pain, it's not something that it's not something that's physically happened to us. It's not like somebody showed up and punched us in the face and then we're like, oh, we're feeling emotional pain. That also may play a part in it as well. It's like a post-traumatic stress disorder. But that's a whole nother topic that I'm not quite ready to dive in on. So, yeah, let's just kind of go with the whole emotional hurt and how to deal with that. And so I just want to give you a few quick points. I have four actually this time. What to do when you experience the emotional hurt and how to deal with it. So the first point is you have to acknowledge the hurt. You're not going to be able to fix something until you first address it. The second point is for you to not allow the hurt to run your life. A lot of times we'll experience something and we'll use that as our excuse to do things that are out of our character. Don't allow the hurt to run your life. Point number 3, take a step back and ask yourself questions before you react. So it ties in with point number 2. Instead of allowing the hurt to run your life, say, okay, what am I going to do next? How did I cause this hurt? Is there a way I can avoid it happening to me again in the future, and so on. And the final point is talk to God. That probably should have been the first point, but this is in no specific order. It's just, how it came to me. So talk to God. You'll definitely feel a lot better when you talk to the Creator because He has all the answers for you. So yeah, let's start with the first point of acknowledging the hurt. So first off, you won't be able to fix something unless you acknowledge it. Now, I'm going to step out of the emotional pain and go into the natural pain. So let's say we're into sports or fitness or whatever, and you're working out and you get an injury. So let's say, I don't know, you sprain your ankle. If you want to be a tough person and say, oh, I can handle pain, I'm just going to tough this out, and you have a bad ankle sprain and you don't acknowledge it, over time that ankle sprain is going to get worse and it's going to slow you down. It can possibly develop into something that's far worse for your athletic ability, and it's just going to slow you down. You won't be the athlete that you used to be. Okay? The same thing pertains to emotional pain and having to deal with that. So let's say somebody hurt your feelings, and I think I had mentioned something about this similar, like as it pertains to my life. But let's say somebody hurts your feelings and they're in a certain circle, if you will. So let's say, I don't know, I'll use cheerleaders, for example. So let's say you're a young lady and you wanted to be a cheerleader and the cheerleaders hurt your feelings. And then now you're just going to go throughout life hating people who are associated with cheerleading. That's not a good look for you. You can't allow that to pain you so much where anybody who's remotely associated with cheerleading, you hate them. Because what if you come across somebody who is associated with cheerleading and they can actually help elevate you to the next level that you should be at? You know what I'm saying? So that's one thing to chew on. Another example I could give as it pertains to acknowledging the hurt and like really not allowing it to run your life. Let's talk about relationships, for example, whether it's a business relationship or a romantic relationship. I'll give you an example. So let's say you're dating somebody or you're about to marry somebody or whatever, and they end up hurting you really bad. And you say to yourself, okay, I vow never to date a person who is like that one, like whether it's their ethnicity or whatever they like, how they dress, what type of shoes they wear, whatever. You vow never to date a person like that because of the hurt that was caused by one individual. Well, let's say the person that you're supposed to marry possesses all of those same qualities, except for the negative qualities that caused the relationship to not work. You'd be doing yourself a disservice by completely shutting off all of those other individuals and saying, I will never date that person because, you can't allow the past pain to dictate your future because that could actually end up blocking your blessing. Okay, speaking of blessings now, let's look at it from the business relationship standpoint. Let's say you're working for a company, for a certain type of supervisor or in a certain department. And you're doing really well in that department, but the supervisor is making everything miserable for you. And you just want to say, okay, sayonara, I'm never going to work for that department or a supervisor like that ever again. Once again, this could be your footstool to a higher level. But if you're going to allow that pain from the department that you worked in or from the supervisor to kind of come in and just paralyze your progress, then it's going to really suck for you. I don't know of any other way that I can put that, but it's going to suck because it could be something so simple as, oh, they're training you how to interact. And I think I said this in my other podcast, but if I sound redundant, it's a really valuable lesson. So just take it. They're sort of training you how to interact with people who are similar to them so you can use it to your advantage. So don't allow that pain to hurt you. Allow it to help you. That was a lot for point one. Let me move on to point number two. Well, I think I kind of talked about point number two, and it says, don't let it run your life. Yeah, so pretty much, I think I covered point number one and number two in this long rant that I just did. So yeah, you have to first acknowledge it. Number two, don't let it run your life. As I just said, with relationships, just because you experience pain in one doesn't mean it's going to be like that in the future. So take that and hold on to it. Let me move right along. Point number three, you have to think and ask yourself questions. Sit down, take a step back, and reflect. Ask yourself, okay, why did this happen? What did I do to cause this to happen? Was it really my fault? Am I wrong in this situation? Is the other party wrong in this situation? And just keep asking yourself questions. Also, when you're asking questions, be sure to have wise counsel around you. People that you can trust and that you can confide in. So you're not just formulating all these ideas by yourself because, we can't lie. A lot of times when we come up with our own ideas, we think, oh, yeah, that's great. I can do no wrong. But a lot of times, or I wouldn't say a lot of times, but sometimes we can do wrong. We're not always right. So it's better to have wise counsel to bounce some things off and say, hey, I did this. I experienced that. Was I wrong in this? Was I wrong in acting that way? Was I wrong in thinking that way? Was the other party wrong? How should we have gone about settling our issues? And so on. So that's point number three. Think and ask yourself questions before you react. And finally, point number four, talk to God. It's as simple as I can put it. Sit down and talk to God. However you want to talk to God, do it. It's up to you. I know like a lot of people will try to make it more complicated than it needs to be. And they'll say, oh, you have to get on your knees. You got to close your eyes. Sometimes you could just be walking around and have a conversation with God. Now, if there are people around looking at you, they might be like, oh, this person's going crazy. No, you're not going crazy. You're just talking to the creator, you know? And when you're talking to God too, the best way to go about doing this is to treat it like a conversation. For example, you speak to God and you want to hear something back from him, whether it's confirmation or what your next move should be. Now, not everybody is going to hear like an audible voice. Not everyone's going to see like a banner show up in the sky that says, hey, do this right now. Sometimes you just hear like that small voice inwardly where it's like, oh, this feels right. Let me go with this, like your intuition or your gut feeling. So when you're talking to God, learn how to listen, learn how to be still and just hear his voice. It might not happen really quickly. It might happen quickly sometimes. It might take a while, but just know that you're going to hear back from God eventually. So I hope I don't sound too spooky when I talk about that, but it's true. And it's stuff that I've done like plenty of times. You know, I'd be in a lot of crazy situations. And it's funny because like, if you know me, I'm the type of person who's like zero drama, but I often find myself in situations where I'm like, whoa, like, how did I get here? And I'd have to just sit back and talk to God about it and say, okay, God, what should my next move be? And I don't hear anything like instantly. But then as time progresses, it may be a couple of days, it may be a few weeks, it might be a month. I'll get the perfect answer that I was looking for, whether it's from confirmation from somebody else or I'll just know inwardly. And then I'll make the steps to doing what I know I should do, like from the inward voice. And I'll see everything come to fruition. So that was a little bit of a rant. I apologize for that. But definitely when you talk to God, be sure to listen. So I think we covered all 4 points for how to deal with the pain. So let's just do a quick recap of them. The first point was to acknowledge that you've been hurt. The second point was to not allow the hurt to run your life. The third point was to think and ask yourself questions before you react. And the final point was to talk to God. I believe if you follow those 4 points, you'll be all set and you'll see yourself making strides towards being successful. I just want to encourage you and let you know that we're all going through some sort of pain, and you're not the only one dealing with it, and it's going to be all right. You might be driving along, or you might just be sitting down in your room or your house or your apartment or whatever, wherever you are, and your mind might constantly be replaying the pain that you've gone through. And I think this can be considered point number 5. Don't replay the pain you've gone through. Get over it. It sounds a little harsh, and it's kind of difficult to do. I can't front because I have trouble sometimes getting over past pains, but I've been able to overcome. Try to get over the pain from the past. You know, don't let it run your life because it will end up paralyzing you. And like I had mentioned earlier on, you're not going to be able to make those strides to your success. So I wish you all the best. Thank you for all of your time today. Thanks for tuning into this podcast. I hope it blessed you. I hope it encouraged you. I hope it inspired you. Hey, if you like it, be sure to click the share button and subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can find me on YouTube at Church D. Check out my website. I'll put the link in the description below. And until next time, thanks for tuning in.